What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phase One podcast. Psyched to be here today. I'm with my good friend Dom. I just met him a few weeks, well, probably a month ago or so. But your brother got us in contact with one another. I work with your brother. He's a solid dude, solid human. I've known him for about 5 years and truly love him dearly. So I'm grateful that he got us in contact, and we had a conversation. We had our meet and greet chat about a month ago or so, and here we are. We get to have a conversation. So for those of you just tuning in, the way we roll with these conversations, we keep it to 3 pillars with the conversation. What we're focusing on is our individual stories of survival, endurance, and resilience. And if you give yourself enough time to reflect, those themes speak to all of us on a fundamental level. And if it doesn't, I encourage you just to sit with yourself. Do something challenging, volunteer for a little bit of discomfort, and figure out how survival, endurance, resilience speaks to you, because I promise that it does. So we're going to hear that from my friend, and then he's going to pivot into his personal mission. And we get to hear how he's grown from the challenges that he's gone through and what he's done with that. And then we both recognize that there are people who are listening that struggle, that suffer, that go through tough times. And that is fundamental for all of us. We are all going to suffer in some capacity. So we're going to encourage one another. We're going to attempt to encourage you. And I hope that this conversation that you're about to hear, it speaks to you and gives you a little bit of hope from the tough times or the struggles that you're going through, or the adversity that you may go through in the future. So, brother, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand the reins to you, and I appreciate your willingness to share your story. I want to acknowledge that for anyone who jumps on the podcast, I ask a very challenging question, which is share your story, and focusing primarily on those low moments, because the lower we go, the higher we have to climb, or the steeper we get to climb.
Well said. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a climb that's worth it. So I appreciate you sharing what you're about to share with us. And I'm going to sit back and hear from you, your story, and we're just going to roll from there.
Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here. Everything was beautifully said, too.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Is it me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Wow. Where do I start? I think the lowest moment in my life came from when I was 9 years old. That was my first introduction to death. From that, before all that, I just had a normal life as a kid. Well, quote unquote normal. I was raised by my grandparents, and I never really had much of my biological father or my mother in my life. Me and my brother, obviously, we have the same dad, but he was kind of back and forth through a lot of things in life, whether that was drugs, crime, or just, music. And he definitely was a man that had a lot of struggles, but in some capacity, people loved him. People said he was such a solid individual, a really solid man. Just, I think he fought to fit in. He was someone that tried to pave the way, but also, kind of got caught up in the realities of life. So fast forward, I'm living with my grandparents, which is his, side of the family. And I just remember not seeing him much. And then one day he just kind of stays over. Like he visits me, hangs out, he stays over, and then he just stays forever. Like he stays for a longer period of time, which was unusual. Finds out that he has leukemia. So that was a shocker. And I just didn't really know what it was. But from that point on, I think he actually came into my life before he got sick around 8. And then I only got to spend about a year with him until the cancer ultimately took his life. But I remember from that time, it was a lot of hospital visits. It was a lot of just uncertainty and just seeing my father, who I really didn't even know at the time, but he was a strong individual that had a really great presence, personality, energy. But he was a man of few words. He was very stoic. And I just remember seeing him so healthy and me actually enjoying the time that we spent and actually having a lot of hobbies and interests, even at that young age. And then I remember seeing him and his body deteriorate slowly but surely. It was, first it was like, oh, we're just taking your dad to go get a checkup. Then it went from like, every other week to almost every other day. And when, the unfortunate events happened, at 9 years old, he passed away. That just completely flipped my world upside down. And I just remember making a promise to myself, because I couldn't stand the feeling of seeing my father just sick and needing all this help, and I couldn't do anything to help him. I didn't know what to do. It was this mixture of seeing my reality, but also dealing with being a kid and not understanding like what's really happening. So I remember unfortunately, when he passed away, I promised myself that as long as I'm alive and when I'm older, no matter what I'm doing, I vow to try to help someone in this lifetime or help as many people as I can, because I know what it feels like to watch someone you love just kind of slip between your fingers and not know what to do and just have to deal with the reality of it. And obviously I was told from my grandparents he's going to make it, and they filled me up with faith, and I still hold on to that to this day. And then that was just the first moment in my life where I knew that life was short and things were very limited. So it made me very grateful early on as a kid. And that kind of pushed me. That pushed me into sports. That pushed me in academics. And I knew I had a lot of emotional trauma and PTSD from those moments, but I didn't want it to affect me, because I remember I had a choice to either be like reckless, be upset, and kind of have this pity party, but I chose that I didn't feel like God was punishing me. I didn't feel like it was because I did anything wrong or that I was meant to suffer. I just knew that I had to deal with it, but I wanted to be there for my family. Like I wanted my grandma to know that she has a strong man, that I wanted to make my father proud, so that pushed me. Years later, my mother actually became my grandma, but I call her mom. She became an alcoholic. Losing her only son, which was my dad, took her down this path of just alcohol. That was her coping mechanism. And it started off as just like, oh, she just needs a drink to help kind of, wind off her day, to every day to almost, multiple drinks at a time. And it affected our family dynamic pretty badly. But I wasn't upset with her. I knew she was coping and she was grieving, but I knew it wasn't right. So from 9 years old till about my 19th birthday, she became an alcoholic. Our family dynamic kind of changed, and then she ended up getting sick. She got diagnosed with COPD. So she was on oxygen. She couldn't breathe. And that was most of my middle school to high school life. So it was taking care of her. I actually had to stop doing sports and had to put a lot of things on hold, because not only did we hurt, dynamically in the family as far as like seeing her health also kind of go down, it hurt us financially. So I actually had to get a job. My first job was to help pay bills, to help out with some, with the medical bills and whatever else debt that my family had accumulated just because of hard times. So that was hard for me growing up as a kid. But even through those times of her coping mechanisms, it really just showed me we all hurt and we hurt deeply. But I knew that wasn't an excuse to go to these certain outlets, and that it can be very dangerous. So that also propelled me to stay on this path, to be supportive. And unfortunately, she was able to see me graduate, which was probably the happiest thing in my life, was that she got to watch me walk across high school stage, right? That graduation. And then on my 19th birthday, she passed away. And what eats me up on the inside is I wasn't there. We had a lot of, I don't know, like battles discussions. Like we didn't always get along, and I think it was because she was dealing with things in her life. I was a growing boy, testosterone, just trying to figure out what I want to do, and obviously just probably being a punk kid at times. But I decided to go leave and move back to California, which is where me and my brother are from, a small town called Vallejo, and I was there for about 6 weeks. And on my birthday, she called me the day before. I spoke with her, and then on my birthday, I got the news that she had passed away. So those are two big events in my life that just completely changed the trajectory of everything, right? Again, my whole world got flipped upside down because now this woman that had raised me is no longer here. So I fly back to North Carolina. I stay with just me and my grandpa. That's all I have left. And we're surviving. We're making life happen. And I'm being there. And, I'm glad that we had each other. And then I think, and fast forward again in 2017, the last thing, which I think a lot of people would have cracked by now, but I find out on on Halloween that my biological mother had passed away. She overdosed in her sleep, which I didn't even know she was still on drugs. So all these things just it pushed me, and it when I talk about it, that's when it actually becomes real because I don't really think about it on my daily life, but it's crazy when I express and I break it down. That's hard. That could tear a lot of families and people apart. But I always felt like I was put here for a reason, not in like an arrogant way, but that God didn't allow me to go through things just to go through it and suffer, that he was going to restore all these things from my family dynamics to whatever he wanted me to do in this lifetime. He wanted to restore it, but he was putting me through the fire, right? He was testing my heart. He was seeing what I can handle. He was seeing if my heart was going to change, if I was going to become bitter or better. But that's not to dim down how emotionally draining. And even to this day, it still is. Like those losing of the parents or losing people so close to you, that doesn't ever go away. It kind of is like this void in your heart, but you learn how to grieve better. You learn how to appreciate the essence and the beautiful things in life that aren't so materialistic. Like you actually focus on what matters, and that's the people you meet along the way, friends that become like family, and experiencing those intimate moments that you can't even put into words at times. So that is, in a quick summary, that has made me into the man I am today. Is I just want to impact as many people as I can in this lifetime. And I want to show them that it's not what happens to you, but it's truly how you respond to those hardships, to enduring things that you never thought would happen. But what if it does? What if your whole world gets flipped upside down? What are you going to do? And I think I was forced in those predicaments, but I'm so thankful for it because it built this resilience in me that I never thought. I don't think I don't think I would have this type of strength or this type of love or the capacity to withstand a lot of things if God didn't put me through the fire at a young age.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I really appreciate it. I imagine that it can't be easy talking about some of those things. Those people, they were foundational for
Yeah.
you as a growing boy. And I think about my family and how much I look up to them when I was a boy. Yeah, I whenever people talk about dads, I'm always thinking about my dad, and
Yeah.
I knew deep down that he loved me. I knew he cared for me. I knew this when he would grab me by my cheeks and look me in the eyes, and I could see his eyes kind of welling
Oh,
up. And
yeah.
my parents split when I was young, and he would come to visit every once in a while, but there was always a unspoken, deep rooted fear of my dad, and
Mm.
he had a lot of anger. And out of the four boys, he unleashed it all on me physically, but
Oh,
He
I'm
never
so
put
sorry.
it on any of the other boys. So, um, yeah, I just
Yeah.
think about like whenever I think about my dad, it's just an immense love, but I don't know if he's around. I don't know if he's still alive because he would talk about, well, he would come in and out of our lives. And when he would get
Mm,
close is when he would retreat.
mm,
And even as a kid,
yeah.
I always wondered, like, what is it exactly? I don't know if I'll ever know, but um, yeah, it just was really interesting for me as a
Yeah.
kid. I was like, where's my dad, the guy that's supposed to raise me? You know, like
Mm,
I don't have that. It's so it was really interesting.
that's hard.
Yeah, yeah, I think there was a lot of uncertainty and just a lack of awareness on how to live life as a kid.
Yeah.
But later, after I graduated and a few years after, yeah, I graduated, I was married. My wife and I at the time, we were gearing up to have our daughter. And at that
Mm,
time, I had a solid ish relationship with my dad. He came back and we would communicate over email or letters.
yeah.
And that was nice because letters allowed us more time to think before we just
Mm,
spoke. Like emails wasn't a thing.
yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think we were only talking over letters, but it allowed us time to think about what we wanted to say.
And the process too,
Yeah.
without pressure of having to, say something right then and there. You could process it
hmm
deeper.
Yeah. And a lot of the
And that,
things that he said without thinking were very hurtful.
mm,
Just deep, just caused a lot of deep pain as a
yeah.
person. As a man, I'm like you should never say those things to a child.
Yeah.
But he would. But I remember the last time we were in communication, I asked him if he wanted to meet my daughter, and I never heard back from him. And she's 5 now, and he would tell me about suicide games that he would play, and I always
Mm,
wonder. I'm like, I don't know, maybe he lost the game, and the uncertainty of that
yeah.
is what drives me to keep going
Yeah.
because I still have hope. I've got hope that maybe one day
Yes.
he'll hear this, and if he hears anything, he just knows that I love him no matter what, and like there's no grudge, can't hold it,
That man.
and it's
Yeah.
gone.
And that right there can change his heart too, because he probably has some guilt and he probably knows the things that had happened. And for you to still forgive him, for you to still have respect for him and love him and speak highly of him can only make a man like who maybe struggle with his own life, like really just fall down and be like, and really apologize. And but also it makes them look inward, like, why did I do that?
Mhm.
My parents, my pops always told me, he said, just because people can have children doesn't mean that they can be parents, and that was so true, because just like with your father, my mother, my biological mother, she was really hurtful with words, right? She would give broken ended promises. She'd say, hey, I'm gonna call you for your birthday, and then it'd be 3 years later, and then she would call me and yell at me, right? And then I was supposed to just be okay with that, but I always forgave her, and I always knew that like it was just projection. And I think we can both relate to that we have this sense of forgiveness because we know it's not really towards us. It's whatever they're feeling internally be coming to the surface, and you just happen to get the worst end of the stick. But that takes a lot of emotional maturity, um, and love to be able to say, I still forgive you. You weren't perfect. I didn't need you to be perfect, but I will always forgive you and make space for you, because I know no matter if I like it or not, you are my mother, you are my father, and I wouldn't be here without you. And what always messed me up as a kid is I tried so hard to not be like my mother. but that was the wrong perspective, right? I'm there in some ways I can't deny that I will be like her, but it's up to me to be better. It's up to me to take those bad habits, whatever she dealt with, whatever your father dealt with. It's up to us to turn those into positives,
Mm-hmm.
to heal those areas that maybe our family struggled with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I'm just reflecting and thinking about like my dad and the impact that he had, and I'm thinking about your dad and the impact he had on you. And even though he wasn't there for a while, he came back, and like the time that he was with you was highly impactful. And
It
if,
was. I think he
yeah.
wanted to be. I think he wanted to
Mhm.
be there, and I don't blame him because I don't really know what was going on. I don't know if he couldn't. Maybe he tried, but life and his decisions um, played a role in that. So I'm just glad that he tried, and I think a lot of
Mhm.
people can give their parents the credit. Like maybe they weren't perfect, right? We're not perfect. We're gonna mess up, but like sometimes effort is what really does count.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're up for it, what is a legacy that your dad left that you get to share?
Mm. The legacy that I still live on to this day, man. He did music, and that was my first love. Before it was ever fitness and working out, it was music. That's what me and my father shared, and I saw the passion, I saw his dreams, and how he loved when he made music. So that inspired me as a kid, and that ultimately that's kind of how we bonded. Because what kid doesn't want to be like their dad, right? That's like their superhero. So I followed in his footsteps, and I remember he would just have me play piano with him. He would teach me how to do this. He would put microphone headset on me and like have me like sing to the microphone and all this stuff.
Mhm.
And he was so passionate. He was about to release his first ever album called Rise and Shine, and
Mm.
unfortunately he wasn't able to finish it. So he passed away before he can finish his first ever project that he put, I think, years of effort into. So in a funny way, I've always heard that growing up was rise and shine. And I didn't even know that it was even in the Bible too until in my teenage years. But rise and shine is not only a quote that I live by, it's a legacy that my father left me, that I've taken this phrase that means so much that it's like my personal reminder to always wake up, to rise to the occasion and shine while doing it. And that's how I live my life, to not miss the moment because you feel nervous, unprepared, uncertain, whatever. But to take every moment as a moment that's special, to do your best, show up, and shine while doing it. Like we weren't meant to dim our light.
Mm.
And that's how I feel. That is what my father has left me, was a legacy that I didn't know he was doing, in a sense. Like he was starting it and then he wasn't able to finish it, and it was kind of like passed down to me. Even though I never felt like that was my responsibility, I wanted to do it. Like I was
Mhm.
eager, I was excited because I was like, you know what? Maybe I can grow this, and maybe my father's name and legacy and what he wanted to do, maybe I can make it better. Maybe I can help people. Maybe I can impact people and show people like what it's like to endure some really tough circumstances, but flip them to the better and give God praise through it all.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it. I think about like, my dad and his character, and whenever people talk about him, they talk about the respect that he had towards people, and I
Mm.
certainly felt that. And whenever people will tell me that I'm a respectful person, I always feel that connection. I'm like, yeah, like there is deep sadness. I'm like, yeah, I don't know where my dad is. I don't know if he's here or if he's gone, but no matter
Yeah.
what, like there's still a connection, and I think that's beautiful. I think it's sweet for you to have a tangible memory, a positive memory with your dad, and looking at the ripple effect of that time you had with him. What about your grandma?
Mm. She instilled in me discipline like no other.
Mm.
Although she was hard on me, really hard on me at times. Like she, in a sense, I felt like I was her second chance at getting it right because
Mm.
maybe she felt like she wasn't able to be the parent she wanted to be, that she failed. And that breaks my heart to think that. But, you know, I understand where she comes from. But she was really hard on me. And without me knowing, I think as a kid, I was just upset. She instilled this discipline. Like she always made sure that I never quit anything. If I signed up for a team, if I started something, a paper, she said, see it through, finish it out. Like we just don't give up just because it gets tough, just because there's a little bit of turbulence.
Mm.
And I used to be so upset because she would just be on me about stuff. Like just, like grandmas or moms can be like, they can be kind of like nagging in a sense, but she
Mhm.
just didn't want me to settle for less. She didn't want me to go through life just through the motions. So she gave me so much love and encouragement, and she was so nurturing. Such a beautiful woman with a beautiful soul and heart. Like she loved people. So I think I got a lot of discipline from her. Um, my love for people comes from her, and she just had a laugh that could fill the room.
Mm.
Right? She loved helping other people. And now that I think about it, yeah, everything that I do is a reflection of what I've learned and saw her do throughout her life, of just being herself no matter where she was, and believing God was going to could change her life in an instant. Like she never lost her faith, even through sickness, even through not being able to breathe, even through dealing with whatever else was in her life. She was never hateful. She always had this sense of hope, and
Mm.
that seeing that as a kid made me be like, okay, maybe anything is possible. Maybe I can get through this. Like she can't breathe. She's having a hard time walking up the stairs. I have to walk up the stairs, and she's telling me one day I won't have to do this. And I'm like, wow, And she never once wanted us to feel sorry for her. So seeing that in those developing years from like 9 to a teenager really, really made me be like, I have no excuse. I have no
Mm.
excuse to be upset or to have a bad day.
Mhm. Yeah. Sounds like your grandma loved the Lord.
She did. She's one of those praying grandmas. She was
Mhm.
old Southern grandma. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that she read the book of James and knew it very um, and knew it intimately. The beginning
Yeah.
of the book of James talks about trials and tribulations and acknowledging the fact that we go through suffering and we go through trials, but when that happens, let those trials take its full effect so that
Mhm.
at the end of it, after we're done enduring that trial, we'll be made complete and whole. And it
Yeah.
took me until I was 30 something to read that and be like, huh,
Wow.
all right. Like there I was all those years thinking like, I got it. I can handle it. Like watch this. I'll be fine. But it sounds like your grandma knew, and I'm just guessing, but it sounds like she knew the inevitable suffering that you would go through,
Yeah.
that all humans will go through,
Yeah.
and really just wanted to prepare you. Maybe we didn't, maybe you didn't know the challenges yet, but your
Yeah.
grandma did. And I think it's so sweet that she left you with a blessing of discipline and compassion. You put those two together, I see it. I see the
Yeah.
work you do, and I know that that's a beautiful ripple effect.
Hmm.
Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah. Thank you, Grandma, so much. That's so true. Um, I don't know. Like what you just said reminds me of like it says that we should rejoice in our sufferings. Like
Mhm.
take heart. Like that God does His greatest works
Mhm.
in those moments where we are suffering. And um, yeah, even as a kid, she always would like remind me. She's like, "You're gonna do great things. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like she would
Mhm.
just sit me down like randomly, and I thank her for that because without those moments, I probably would definitely not have a lot of confidence to do certain things because of fear and all that. But she would always remind me, especially if I was overthinking, overcritical. She's like, "You got this. Just do what you do. Take a moment, breathe."
Mhm.
And she would remind me that like win or lose, I was loved. Like
Mhm.
whether I made the shot, made the team, made an A, she was like, you've already won in my eyes. You don't have to prove anything. I'm already proud of you. So like go into that moment, into those situations knowing that you don't have anything to fail or to lose, that you're gonna be just fine. And I
Mhm.
think having that reassurance of no, like having that support of like, oh, even if I miss the mark, I'm not going to disappoint, allowed me to just go in boldly into situations, into challenges because I was like, I got this,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that was needed. That was so needed. I think we all need that.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I love that you brought up Romans chapter 5, verse 3. That's where Paul is saying, rejoice in our suffering because suffering produces endurance. Endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And a
Yeah.
lot of the time, something I've been really passionate about lately is uh, the idea of endurance and the practice or even value of endurance, which is
Yeah.
parallel with perseverance.
Yeah.
I I acknowledge for me years ago, and probably for most of my life, I just felt like if I was doing something hard, it was like, well, you're just gonna suffer. Like you're supposed to suffer. There was something about this word suffering that kind of, in a way, like called to me, but also like I don't know, it maybe sounded cool or something. Or I was in a negative headspace and I just was like, oh, well, you're just going to suffer because you deserve to suffer.
Yeah. It comes from like it comes from feeling unworthy in a sense, right? You
Hmm.
felt like you didn't deserve certain things, so you had to suffer to actually feel like you earned it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And I would
that's
go to what's that?
I said, and that's hard because
Hmm.
that's not a good mindset to
Yeah.
operate.
Yeah. And for years when I was, uh, yeah, just in a really um, a horrible time or season in my life, like I would go to the gym and I would do hit workouts and just high intensity training
Yeah,
to the point where I felt completely depleted to feel worthy. I was like, you're gonna go in there and you're gonna obliterate yourself until you gain some value. You're just gonna suffer. And I was like, but
something.
I didn't feel like I was leaving that in a positive headspace. But it
Yeah,
wasn't until I started training for patience and practicing patience and perseverance. And that's why I love running so much, is
yeah.
because I'm not
Wow.
trying to inflate my ego. I'm actually trying to become leveled and allow God to work in me. And I'm like, all right, like if I go into this space where I have to be present for a long time, then God can operate. So it's like
Yeah,
going into this willingness to be uncomfortable, not because I'm trying to suffer, but because I recognize and acknowledge that suffering is the invitation to endurance, perseverance. And through that, yeah, through that perseverance, we get to know who we are, who God says we are. And at the end
yeah.
of that
So good.
suffering, that's when we get to see the hope.
That's so
But
good. That's so
mhm,
good.
it took a
Wow.
long time to figure that one out. But
We have so much in common, man.
mhm,
Like I literally would do the same thing when I first started working out. I used to feel like it was therapy,
mm,
but because I had suppressed so much emotion from my childhood, the only time I felt fully relaxed, not anxious, sad, was when I was in the gym. But I was
mhm,
pushing myself to a level of exhaustion. And I would like remember, because I always loved to lift heavy, because lifting heavy forced my body to feel something. I was able to use whatever I had inside of me and let it out and leave feeling like, oh, I actually feel happier. And I remember like I would get so like emotionally distraught, like tears, like almost on the verge of crying before hitting like something heavy, because the emotion that I had suppressed without really meaning to was coming out, and it would and I was able to feel it in a physical sense, but and apply it to move a mountain, to move this weight, to move this obstacle in front of me. And that became therapeutic for me. But through that, I learned that God, like, that was just surface level. He was like, I don't want you just to stay there. That's not how you grow in your faith. That's not how you grow in your character. That's just growing your ego.
Mm-hmm.
So just like you, he's shown me patience, right? Longevity. And that whatever I try to sustain can work maybe for a few months, a few years, but ultimately I'm going to get burnt out because I'm trying to hold it up. I'm trying to man the ships when God wanted to take control of that and build me and refine me through those moments. So
Yeah.
I just thought that was beautiful because I can relate so much to exactly what you were saying. I was like, I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad. I'm glad that that means something to you, and hopefully for the person listening, it resonates with you as well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the deep dive and going into your story, really leveraging, or not leveraging, but leaning into and reflecting on your childhood and some very real challenges and struggles that you went through, losing people you love so much and that meant so much to you. Let's pivot to where you're at right now, your mission in life. You've talked about like serving people um, through compassion, right? So I'm going to take another step back and let you share the mission that you're on.
What is the mission that I'm on? The mission that I really live by right now in this current moment is we rise by lifting others.
Mm.
I really do believe there's enough room on the table for everyone to eat at. A lot of people have this scarce mindset of thinking that if you help this person elevate to this level, you help them build in some type of capacity, that it's going to take from you. And that has always been the opposite of how I operate, think, and what I've seen. I really do feel like right now in my life, and probably forever, I was put here to serve. I was put here to be an example to people that like you really can get through some of the craziest things in life and still be kind, still be compassionate, still love, still have hope that things are going to get better, and versus just kind of walking around feeling sorry for yourself. So what's always come natural for me is helping, whether it was coaching, training, personal training, leading. Like I was always put in positions to lead and to kind of be someone to like uplift people, and that always felt natural. It never felt like I had to be that. It just felt like that's just who I was. And since I was a kid, I always felt others gravitate towards me. I always had people that I didn't even really feel like worthy of, like people that had just blessed me with their leadership, their wisdom, and I was able to be around such great examples. So in my current state in my life, I just feel so honored and privileged to be able to serve people, even in situations that I may not be comfortable with. Because I feel like serving isn't just around people that you can get, it's not around people that you can get along with, right? That's not how you love and be compassionate. If you only hang around people that you like, it's how you're compassionate to the person that's mad at you, that's arguing, that's yelling, that may not see life the way you do, that may judge you off of just how you look. I feel like through my life, I've been put in situations to change the perspective, to change environments, because I was never afraid to walk in a place and be myself, no matter if that person didn't talk to me, didn't want to speak to me. I was always going to introduce myself and welcome people with open arms, because when it comes down to, I feel like everyone wants to be embraced. Everyone wants to feel included. And as someone in my life that I was never the tallest. It's never the biggest. I was never the most athletic. I just knew that I had a really good work ethic. I knew how to talk with people and how to relate. And I was stubborn. I was stubborn enough to never stop trying. And I knew that whether it's people, relationships, they're all kind of, work, goals, they're all the same. It's consistency and focus and being relatable. So yeah, I think to summarize all of that, it's really just my mission is to serve people, and hopefully I can leave this world when it's all said and done for. I can leave this world better than how I entered it without losing myself in the process. Because how many people do you meet that are great individuals maybe in the beginning, but then what's that Jay-Z lyric? You either live to you either die a hero or live long enough to be a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really kind of true, right? Some people live so long that life just changes them. It changes their heart. It changes everything. But I want to leave this world being like, wow, I've encountered some obstacles. I've encountered some mountains, some things that definitely should have taken me out and stopped me in my tracks. But yet I didn't lose who I was in the process of the endurance and the suffering. I still, built my faith and my hope and was able to leave something here that is not just tangible, but it's impactful. It's felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's embraced.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And through it all, it'd be really awesome to just know a little bit more about who we are as people. We get to identify our character more when
Yeah.
we endure the challenges that we're going through.
Yeah.
And to rewind to what you were talking about earlier, you're talking about like serving others while not losing yourself, essentially. And for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, I just need a me day. Like I just need to shut the world out, and
Yeah.
like I'm just gonna take 24 hours and only think about me. And then I get like an hour into it, and maybe I'll go like sit by the river or something, or I don't know. And I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm good. Like there's time left in the day. Like let's get out there and make someone's day a little better.
Yeah.
And it's not hard. Like one example I'm thinking of right now, like I was at the river next to my apartment and going through a really tough time and just having a pity party for no reason. Honestly, can't even remember why I was so boo-boo. But there was this guy, he was at the river, and I was in this like little mini beach area, and he's like trying to sit on these jagged rocks. And I just went over to him and I was like, hey man, there's room for you down here. It's more comfortable if you want to join. And
Wow.
I think we said like 10 words to each other. But I just remember being there. We were there sitting next to one another for like an hour. And it just hit me. I was like, we both left our homes to be here.
Yeah.
And whatever we're doing right now is feeding our souls. And it's cool because I actually ran into that guy a few months later. He works in the area, and so we ended up reconnecting again. But it was sweet. Like that's just like a tiny, like minor example that I just randomly thought of. But more importantly, like when I care more about other people than I do me, my soul is full.
You get healed. You get healed in the process of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes you realize that we're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes it's not always about us. That we all are going through our own struggles and battles. And that we're meant to talk about those things with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because someone needs to know that they're not suffering alone in this.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing that you're able to just sit with him.
Yeah. It was really sweet. It was kind. Like, I don't know if kind is the right word. It was a sweet moment because I didn't know what he was going through. It was a reminder of the compassion that God gave me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
33 years old. I talk about this all the time. Like, there's not a lot of things that I feel I'm really good at,
Mm.
but I know a gift God gave me the moment I was born. It's compassion. Compassion is the number one value with phase one. And what it means is the recognition of the suffering that others are going through. That's why
Yeah.
the events that I'm putting on for phase one they're not solo events. We
Mm.
train together. We train for adversity. We define resilience together. We find hope together. We do it all together.
Yeah.
But just sitting with him, I was like, that guy got uncomfortable and he's outside. I don't know what he's going through,
Mm.
but I hope that his soul is full right now. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, it just was a sweet moment.
I always felt honored and privileged and blessed to be able to have certain experiences and role models in my life, whether that was friends that became like mentors. My grandfather, who's still alive, who raised me, he was such a great father figure with just so much wisdom and love. And I just admire him so much because he was just such a good man. And all these things that I was blessed to have as a kid or just in my life, I felt like they weren't always for me. I felt like they were meant to be given to other people, whether it was my time, whether it was just talking or having conversations or just whatever I was able to learn. I always wanted to give it to other people because I know how it made me feel. I was like, oh, this is so good. Like, imagine what someone else would feel like if they heard this. So I never felt selfish and wanting to hold something. You know, like how a kid will get all these toys and like doesn't want to share. I was always a kid that I was willing to give away my favorite toy, not the one I didn't want. Right? That because to me that's not
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice. Right? Like anyone can give away something that they don't want. But like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you have compassion when you really want those shoes or you really want that car? But
Mm-hmm.
something in you saying like, but this person needs it more than I do. You know, I can get me a cheaper car. So I always that's how I've always operated was out of service. Sometimes in the right way, sometimes in the wrong way. And in the wrong way, in a sense of like maybe I could have thought and prayed about it a little bit longer to make sure it was the right thing to do. I'm definitely more patient now, but I was so gung ho on just like serving and making sure that if I had it, someone else has it too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like I had the honor of having people that were able to give things to me out of abundance, like my grandparents, whether it was like a warm meal or just the simple things like toys and like a place to stay. You know, I was always grateful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was thinking about, it just escaped me again because I had a thought and then I went on a little rabbit trail and then I remembered it again. But I was listening to what you were saying. And right now, I think it went away again. Uh, oh, yeah. I was thinking of like before I started the podcast, I started it because I wanted to help people who are going through hard times, leveraging things that I've learned through endurance training, and not just endurance training, but like running ultra marathons. I just learned a lot about myself, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to give this back. But there was a lot of hesitation. I was like, well, I don't want to mess up. Like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to say I don't want to lose credibility. And now I just am to the point where I have so much more confidence when I lean into humility as opposed to trying to put off this show like I have everything figured out. Like I don't have everything figured out.
And we
I
never.
I never will. And there's so
Yeah.
much peace in that. I'm like, man, and also like what am I really trying to figure out? Like,
Right.
you know, I don't
Yeah.
know. What am I really trying to figure out? I don't know. Maybe learning how to run a business, sure.
Yeah.
Uh
It's
but
always progression over perfection. Progression over
Mhm.
perfection.
Yeah. Yeah. But the one thing that sustains is service, compassion towards others, and serving others with what I have. and that it sustains. And I
It
think
does.
if we all just gave ourselves the compassion that we give to others, what's the ripple effect?
Yeah.
We
It's deep.
we may not live long enough to find that out, but hopefully it's a beautiful one. I hope that it is. That
Me
it's a
too.
beautiful.
And people are going to forget what you did, but they're never going to forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's that ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just to put it in practical terms, the ripple effect and the impact that you've had on just my brother, and of course many more people with your mission. Look what it's created. Like look
Mm-hmm.
where we're at now. Like because of that relationship and that positive impact, I'm now on your podcast, which is incredible. So
Mm-hmm.
you're already making those ripples, and it's
Mm-hmm.
only going to keep growing and growing. It's probably even bigger than I can imagine right now, and I love that you are so consistent with it because it's needed. It's needed.
Very much appreciate that. The consistency is never easy, and I'm sure that you can relate. You were talking about your dad and how his legacy was rise and shine, and for you, people see that you rise and you grind, and that's how you live. And it's cool for me to see the consistency that you have in bettering yourself and finding your holistic strength, not just on a physical level, but mental, emotional, spiritual level as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's important for people to recognize, like, when I'm saying I don't have it all figured out, I don't, and there's peace in that. And there's also there's also peace and comfort knowing that, like, I'm never motivated. I don't I don't I don't practice consistency because I have a motivation to do it. I have
Yo,
the discipline. I
yeah.
choose to be disciplined and I choose to be consistent
Yeah.
because I know that the testing of my faith produces perseverance. And I need to go into these training environments that I create for myself through discomfort so that God can operate. He could do his work through me
And,
and then I can get out
yeah.
and just be God's light. Yeah.
Right. And discipline equals freedom.
Mm.
Like it really does. It gives you the freedom to not be a slave to the world, to flesh, right? To all these things that can take from you, all these other distractions. And I think on a spiritual level, the more we're able to endure, God looks at that as obedience. He's like, oh, John has the capacity to handle whatever I throw at him. So, like, that makes you reliable,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because a good father is not going to give a car that's meant for their child when they're 16, whenever they're 8 years old, right? That would be that would be bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but they have to grow and they have to learn and they have to get prepared for that blessing, get prepared
Mm.
for what's next. For the phase one has to continuously build.
Mm.
So I think with him being such a good father, he doesn't give us anything more than what we can handle.
Mm.
So the more we can handle, right, the more trials and things he puts us through, he's like, okay, he
Mm-hmm.
can he can handle more. I can give him this. I can trust him with this. And then I think we're always meant to multiply it, and that's not for financial gain, but we're meant to multiply other in so many ways, right? Whether it's
Mm-hmm.
our faith, whether it's through serving, whether it's through whatever He's put on our heart, but we're meant to multiply it. It's like there's a time to plant this, and there's a time to harvest. There's seasons
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah. Man, I love that. Yeah, and it goes back to what we were talking about in the book of James, where we see whoever wrote that, that book. I don't actually know. Um, like, letting trials and tribulations take its full effect so that we can be made complete and whole.
Yeah.
And knowing that like the testing of our faith produces perseverance and steadfastness. Like, I don't know if that's in a different book, but I know that's written in the Bible, and it's something that I reflect on frequently. Like whenever I'm going through something, I'm being tested. My faith is being tested. And at the same time, like if God is testing my faith, then Satan is tempting me to quit.
Exactly.
So
Two conflicts right here.
yeah, yeah.
And
And I think it's cool.
the way to test something is to put it through the fire. That's the only
Yeah.
way to test something, right? If you want to see the value in gold, you have to put it through the fire. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
broken down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that leans into like this idea of being forged. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
You take like I'm just foreshadowing what's about to happen. So if you're listening to this, stay tuned because cool things are coming.
Oh yeah.
A few years ago, oh gosh, this was 2020. Yeah, summer of 2020. On the way to work, leaf spring kicked up on the highway, went through my front windshield, shattered the whole thing. And at the time I was very frustrated with God. I was like, why didn't that kill me? Like at that time I was checked. I was like, I already met my life goals. I was very selfish. I met my goals. Why didn't that kill me? Now looking back, God's not done with me.
Not done.
So I have this leaf spring that went through my windshield. I keep it with me. I bring it to every office that I go to. It sits on my desk. It's a reminder of how fragile life is. And
Yeah.
that leaf spring is prime for forging. And I have a friend that I work with who he forges knives. And him and we sat down, we had a conversation. He's going to teach me how to forge that leaf spring into a serviceable blade. And I love the idea of being forged because you take something, you put it through fire, and then you relentlessly and ruthlessly beat it repeatedly until it's capable of serving its intended purpose.
That's
And
so good.
so that's how it
Wow.
reflects. And that's how it should resonate with us is the trials, the tribulations, the hardship, the suffering that we go through, let it. Because
Yeah.
we have opportunities to persevere. We have opportunities to find out how strong and capable we are. And like if I have God on my side, like I've got the same strength that raised Christ from the dead in me. So I can't sit and say I can't. I can
Right.
stand and say God allows me to. He says I can.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just getting so excited because we're talking about timing. Like, there was a time where I was frustrated about that leaf spring that went through my front windshield. I was like, oh God, like why didn't you allow that to kill me? Like I'm
Yeah.
done, you know? And it wasn't until now where I'm like, oh shoot, like this is something that God has allowed me to go through because this is a story that is worth telling that leads other people to finding out how awesome our God is. And
Bingo.
I'm so excited to forge that piece of leaf spring and turn it into something serviceable. And hopefully that story resonates with people and they can see like, all right, like whatever I'm going through, like it's for a purpose and I need to be patient and present and let it take its full effect.
That's amazing. And the fact that you take that with you and as a reminder, like
Mm-hmm.
the enemy or life can throw these hurdles at you and it's meant to scare you. It's meant to dim you, be like, oh, like that could have built so much anxiety. You could have been bitter, angry, all these other things. But yeah, you like, no, this is my reminder that God's not finished with me yet. And
Mm.
that's where that switch comes in. And that's where he's looking at you. He's like, oh, John gets it. He understands. Like, he may not understand now, but he will understand what I'm doing and what I will continue to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I picked up that leaf spring after it flew through my front windshield, and God at the time was like, all right, now you're going to preach to the masses about the idea of being forged, I'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because this is a 5-year journey. And what
Wow.
God allowed me to endure over the last 5 years, I wasn't ready for it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's beautiful to reflect on what you were saying, when like God gives us what we can handle at that current moment in time.
Yeah.
And if
Never
I
more,
was,
never less.
mm-hmm, if I just was bitter because phase one as a business hasn't blown up into a multi-million-dollar company at this time, the reality is I probably am not ready to handle that at this time.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just managing my expectations, and I'm just hopeful that it'll reach who it needs to reach. And
Mm.
also just knowing that like my life is a God story. I'm just a part of it. I
Yeah.
can rest in that truth instead
Yeah.
of wanting so much so soon, you know?
One of my best friends, he always would tell me, stay committed to your goals, but flexible in your approach. And that used to
Mm,
always like bug me because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean stay committed but flexible? Like, I used to kind of be, because for me, I was always like a black and white type of guy. Either I'm going to do it with all my might or I'm not going to do it at all. But that's not how life works, right? You got to stay committed to the mission. But you, in a sense, and you will have to stay flexible in your approach because it's not going to always play out the way you envisioned it, the way you hoped it would happen, the way you want it to happen.
mm,
And if it does, more power to you. You just got really lucky. Like, that's great. But yeah, just going off what you said, right? You could have easily been like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But you were like, okay, you were flexible in how you approached that whole situation. It took 5 years. Could have taken longer. But because of your approach and your flexibility, look where you're at now, and it all makes sense because you allowed time to kind
mm-hmm,
of pan things out and explain and teach you what you needed to learn from that.
mm,
And going off of like you were talking about how you wanted phase one to be, so much more successful, but if you got consumed by that, that could also distract you as well and discourage you. And I also have struggled with that when it comes to owning businesses and certain things. It's like that comparison really is the thief of joy. Like, it's so true. And even though people say I don't compare, we all do. Like, we're all comparing to something, whether it's to yourself or to something else. It's gonna happen.
mm-hmm.
But whenever I get upset or I feel worried or sad, I think about if I was meant to have it, I would have it. Right? If I don't have it right now, it's not if, it's just a matter of when. It means there's some things I need to learn before I get to where I'm trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
Or I need to become who I need to be before I get there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the worst thing you could do is be in the blessing or uh, be in a place that you prayed for and not be prepared for it. That's
Mm-hmm.
scary. That's even scarier
Yeah.
because now
Yeah.
you're really lost.
Yeah. And then, yeah, at that time, maybe the season or the calling is perseverance, endurance, like just keep on going, remaining steadfast in
Yeah.
whatever it is that you're doing. As long as it's as long as you're vectored and heading in the right direction, like leaning on your core values.
Or maybe that's a call for us to be more prepared, right? Maybe
Mm,
we are settling for less. Like, maybe we're not thinking big enough, right? Like, maybe the only thing that's stopping us from getting to where we want to go is believing that we already have it.
mm,
And I know that sounds very cliche, like very like how a lot of people on YouTube always talk about having a certain mindset, but I do believe there is some truth in that. Like, you have to already believe that you are worthy and capable of having that, and then you're gonna start acting accordingly, because you do have to embody. You do have to be different. Like, change is inevitable, and you will have to alter some things if you want to go to that next level, because it's just going to be another phase of discomfort.
Mm. Mm.
And I think a lot of us, we do get comfortable, even if we don't think we are, even if we're going slower. Yes, having a certain pace is needed, but sometimes the only thing that's stopping us from getting there is really just that it's the mental switch that we need to have.
Yeah.
Like, if phase one was a multi-million-dollar business tomorrow, what would change? Would you completely be like, oh no, I have to do all this? Or are you preparing for that, right?
Mm.
It's like, start prepping for these things. And that's
Yeah.
where your hope's going to also be planted and built upon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if God hears us and he only gives us what we believe and hope for? So if you have little hope and you're just kind of like, oh, I'll just take the scraps, I'll take whatever you give me. That's not faith. That just sounds like you've been defeated. You're just
Mm.
hoping for a fragment of what you've already been called to.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was thinking about goals with the business, and I was like, eventually I would like to make a profit, and I was like, well, what kind of profit?
Yeah,
I finally just got to this point. I was like, I want to make millions. And the reason I want to is because I don't want that for me. I look around in my city and I'm like, how many people can use that? How many
yeah.
recovery organizations in Spokane, Washington can use some cash to build up
There
their
we
program, build up what they're doing to help people so they can live
go.
a healthier life? Like, we can do so much, and I don't want to limit my hope. I don't want to
Yeah,
limit my ambition or my dreams, because I reflect on what God's allowed me to do up to this point in my life. Like, why stop now? Why stop hoping just because there's no reason? I can't find
there's no.
an excuse. But I am going to be patient and endure and learn and grow, so that when God allows there to be an abundance of cash, I'll be ready to give that to someone who needs it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I'm just learning it, and it's a cool place to be in my life right now.
that's amazing. I truly do believe that he wants to exceed our expectations too.
Yeah, always has.
Yeah, like, what if he didn't give us what we want because he wanted to exceed them?
Mm,
Like,
mm,
that right there is beautiful, right? Because I would always have hard feelings about church people or people who are religious that would go be able to worship, right, and sing all these songs, but then have doubts about if God could do this. I'm like, didn't you just sing a song? Like, we do all these things, right, to serve, and we sing these songs and we read all these scriptures, but like, you're not believing it. You just
mm.
think that it's something. It's a routine, but you have to really believe in this before you just start to, I think, profess it, right? Like, I think people need to actually take a look inward and be like, do I actually think and believe that this is going to happen for me as well too? Or
Yeah.
am I just doing this to feel some type of comfort, as
Mm.
far as like what makes me feel less anxious and have more hope just by singing these songs or reading the Bible? Like, no, like, you actually have to like really start to dive in and be like, you know what, I'm gonna get out of my comfort zone and really really believe for this again.
Yeah, I love that.
Have,
If I was sitting here on the couch thinking and praying, like, God, if you would just give me $1 million, that would be so awesome. And God gives me $1 million. Where does my faith go from there? Instead, maybe God's like, I'm not going to give you that $1 million, because what you don't know it yet is I've got 100 million waiting for you. Right now, I'm testing your faith.
yeah,
And during that, I get to endure this discomfort or whatever.
yes,
Um, so yeah, this I didn't.
That's
This is a cool conversation. We've talked about so many things I didn't think we were going to talk about, and I'm really glad that you prayed before we hit record because it's been a blessing of a conversation for sure.
it is, man. Like just looking at what's behind you for those that can't see it, right? So the first thing in life, right? If God was going to give you 100 million, right, is survival. You have to survive the things of life, right? Then just because He gives you that, now you have to endure the responsibility
Mm.
of what comes with that type of blessing or
Mhm.
responsibility. And then you have to be resilient enough to maintain and not lose yourself in the process of it. So I just
Mhm.
like how that's behind you because it's a reminder as well, right? You got to survive it. Then you got to go through this endurance phase, and then you have to be resilient enough to not like let life just tear you down because now it's not going to be the same. So
Mhm.
those pillars that you have that are part of phase one is so incredible. I think it's just a healthy reminder, no matter what you're talking, like whether it's getting a degree, being a better father, son, brother, like those are always great things to live by and to think about. Like, am I just in survival mode or am I actually being grateful? Am I suffering or am I actually learning endurance? Am I getting better through what I'm suffering through?
Mhm.
And am I becoming bitter or am I just becoming stronger, which is that resilience aspect?
Mhm. I love it, man. You just summed up what phase one means to me. That's awesome. Well, I got two questions for you.
What's
You
up?
kind of just opened up the first one, which is phase one and what it
Mhm.
means to you as a person, and what it means to you and your soul. And then the question after that is, what final words of encouragement do you have for someone who's listening that is going through a hard time or is gearing up for inevitable adversity?
Those are great questions. I feel like phase one is a reminder that we're always going to be tested. That phase one is just the catalyst and the introduction to what's ahead. And it resonates so much with me because life is all about phases, seasons. And when I hear phase one, I think about you're the foundation, right? Or God is our foundation, but you have helped people build that first phase and you're giving them tools to then go to the next level and the next level and the next level. But sometimes people just need that push. And the fact that you have those pillars of survival, endurance, resilience, it's all things that we're going to experience. And I love that. I love what you've done. And I just wholeheartedly believe in what you're doing. And I think it is going to make an impact that's going to change generations for your kids and your future kids and your grandkids. So, yeah, phase one it reminds me that no matter what level you're at, there's always something to learn, to be appreciative of.
Mhm.
And I don't know, just to enjoy it too. You got to make
Mhm.
sure you enjoy it because what's the point of all this if we don't actually love the
Yeah.
process? I feel like phase one focuses on the process. Then like life's more about the journey than it is the destination. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
of course I
Uh,
had to really think about that. That was good.
yeah, yeah, no wrong answers with that question. I just love the perspective from everyone that hops on this podcast. The final question that I have for you is what words of encouragement do you have for the listener who's living life like every other person and experiencing those trials?
Mm. We're not meant to go through life trying to heal. Life is going to break us. It's going to break every single one of us down. It's just a matter of time. And I know that sounds really dark, but I think a lot of therapists or social media things tell us that we need to heal. We need to protect ourselves. But in reality, we need to expose ourselves to more of what life's thrown at us. Fully indulge and invest yourself in what you're feeling and expand your capacity. Stop running from the fire and embrace it, right? Being healed and fully healed is never going to happen, but what we can do is expand our capacity to withstand more, right? We are really strong and resilient. We aren't meant to break. Being broken is a choice. That means you're giving up. I think the more we can realize that there's so much our bodies, our hearts, and our minds can go through and overcome, and that we have so much authority in this lifetime with the trials and tribulations that will be thrown our way, that's going to give people so much more freedom. But I would say get in a community, get around people that you can trust that are going to help you, because you can't do it alone. It does take a village. Find something that you believe in, find something that gives you purpose, and make sure that you understand that, like I said earlier, life is all about the journey. If you're so destination focused, like trying to get to that finish line, you're going to miss out on life, and you're going to wish that you can go back. So appreciate the small moments, hug your loved ones, never take anything for granted, and don't let this world dim your light.
Well said. Love it, man.
Thank you,
I
man.
appreciate you spending some life with me. I'm sure people want to stay connected with you after listening to our conversation. So how can they stay connected with you?
They can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rise and Shine. That's going to be the same thing for YouTube. If it's not under Mr. Rise and Shine, it could be under Rise and Shine Lifestyle. And I think that's it. And then obviously, if you guys want to support the brand in any type of way, we have merch. We do powerlifting coaching. You can follow us at therslbrand.com. And that's where you can support the movement that we have going on.
Love it. Thanks, man. I appreciate your time. Spend a little bit of life with me. Everybody listening, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, peace, love,
Peace.
real. See you.